What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vic, getting after it once again. As you can see, I got my airbending staff because I'm talking about the Last Airbender, the Avatar. I don't care what James Cameron says, I'm going to call it the Avatar. You guys heard me talk about this movie last year. Controversy surrounding casting decisions. I was not a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan being over this movie. I tend to believe he's a one-hit wonder with The Sixth Sense, and I thought he would not do this movie justice. As it stands, it's getting ripped to shreds in the box office, and the critics are killing it. So I'm going to jump right in. Get at me at Vic at BigVicPresents.com. That's Vic with a K. I was big on criticizing the casting decisions. At one point, this man was about to cast Aaron Carter. That's right, Disney's Aaron Carter as Prince Zuko. Fortunately, I think due to some serious pressure from people feeling like he was going to dishonor this epic series by casting all Caucasian actors in the lead roles, I think he finally caved and at least brought in I think Dev Patel to play Prince Zuko, and but still, and he in his defense, M. Night Shyamalan talked about trying to take a more global approach to this show, and you could argue that okay, maybe in this section of the world they weren't seeing a lot of sunlight, with the waterbenders living almost like Eskimos, so maybe there wasn't a lot of color, and I get it if you want to say that okay, the firebenders they had a little more of the Middle Eastern looking like my brothers in the Middle East, fine, but if you want to represent diversity, you can't have it in the background and then have all Caucasian characters playing all the main roles, except for of course the bad guy who Dev Patel does. So we know what that looks like, regardless of where your heart was, M. Night. It looks like you're basically just selling out and saying that Hollywood won't buy it, that people won't come out to see a movie like this unless you cast white actors in the lead roles. And really, people just want to see the product is already there. The story is there. The story's told. People love the characters. They just want to see it brought to life the way they fell in love with it. I don't know why people don't get this, why you want to mess with perfection, but he did. So I'm going to say if you can't get past that, there's no point in even going any further. I have gotten past it. Believe me, I was this close to boycotting this thing, but I have little people in my home who probably would have boycotted me if I didn't take them to see this movie. So, I'm just going to break it down. Again, I'm past that. If you can't get past it, no need in going any further. I'm going to move on and just break the movie down, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's easy to pile on, but I'm telling you, this movie is actually not as bad. I'm not saying it's good, but it's not as bad. To me, it wasn't as bad as people are making this thing out to be. I do think if you're not familiar at all with the series, then you probably will be pretty confused because I think they tried to do too much too fast. There's a lot of story to tell, and I don't think they gave it enough time. I had about an hour and 30 or 40 minutes. It's not enough time to get through book one, which is what they tried to do. But in terms of performances, Noah Ringer plays Aang, serviceable. I thought he did okay. Could there have been a better actor for that role? Probably. But I don't think he did a bad job. You're going to get a lot of that. No one did exceptional. There was no marriage of character and actor like how Hugh Jackman does Wolverine, or how Patrick Stewart does Professor X, or how Chris Reeves does Superman. That's what you like to see in these fantasy movies, is that marriage of actor and character. You didn't get anything like that in this, so don't go with that in mind. But there were some people who weren't horrible. Katara and Sokka, those actors do not fall in that category. They were abysmal. Katara is one of the stronger characters in this series, and so is Sokka. He's more for comedy relief, but there's a lot of layers to Sokka. And Katara is just such a feisty character, and to see those two being portrayed by actors with just no personality, it was just horrible. Prince Zuko, not bad. Dev Patel of Slumdog Millionaire fame. I think he got it. He got it at least from the standpoint of Prince Zuko's rage and his obsession with the Avatar. Now, whether he portrayed that convincingly enough is debatable, but I think he got it. Uncle Iroh wasn't bad. in the series, it takes a while before you realize he's not such a bad guy. This comes across very quickly in the movie, and that may be again to save time, but I didn't think he was too bad. Surprise to me was Commander Zhao, who I was never overly impressed with in the original series, but he came across as he was a pretty good villain. You want your villains to have that commanding voice, and that's something that unfortunately this actor I think his name's Asif Manvi or something like that. He doesn't have that at all. He actually sounds a little bit like a girl, but his performance was pretty good, and we didn't see a lot of Fire Lord Ozai, but what we did see of him, I thought was okay. Some things that were left out that really just took away from this whole experience is Katara getting the waterbending scrolls, the way she got them in the movie. Now here comes the spoilers for those of you who are interested. The way she got them in the movie was they just glossed that over. Nothing like how she got it in the actual series, as well as how she mastered waterbending and won the right to teach Aang waterbending. That just didn't even happen. Didn't see enough of the Avatar state or get enough of what that's capable of. Obviously, they want to save that to the end. And where was Suki and the Kyoshi warriors? They play an integral part as this thing unfolds, and they need to be introduced in book 1 as they were in the original series. They were not in this movie. Disappointed. But on better note, some high notes, the Zuko and Aang busting out of the Fire Nation was well done, I thought. The Moon God, Princess Yu, and that whole situation with Northern Water Tribe was done fairly well, given, again, I think some time constraints. The animals, Appa and Momo, they looked great. They really did look good. I thought the costumes that everyone was wearing and the overall look and feel of the movie looked pretty good. I don't think the effects were decent, not necessary to be in 3D. And at one point they had a little girl in there with the Earthbenders. My heart almost stopped. I thought they were going to make that Toph, and you cannot mess up Toph. She was my favorite character in the whole series. Thankfully, they didn't introduce her at that point, because I just thought they were going to get that all wrong. Overall, again, I was afraid that M. Night just wouldn't even get this series. He got it. It looked to me like he got it. It just looked like it was rushed. He tried to do too much too fast, and maybe tried to just bite off a little more than he could chew with trying to take this global approach with this diversity that may or may not have been there, when he could have just went true to the form of the story, and I think people would have been fine with it. You could have had an epic like a Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, and unfortunately it just turned out to be something that looked a little more like made for TV for Nickelodeon or something like that. So at the end of the day, hopefully the lesson is learned. Don't mess with perfection. Even these little things, calling Aang Ang and Sokka Soka, these are the little pet things that just drive people crazy. When you have something that works, don't mess with it. And I really feel like all of that said, this movie is not nearly as horrible as it's being depicted. I mean, the critics I've never seen anything just get lambasted the way this movie is taking it up to rear at the box office. And I'm starting to think that maybe Hollywood has just decided, a combination of, there's even a site, racebending.com. Go check it out. This is where they really, really get after these casting decisions, which, is understandable. But I just think, maybe Hollywood has just decided, M. Night, your days as a big-time producer are finally finished. You've hit rock bottom, and they're making the message very clear by just destroying this movie. I don't think, at this rate, we will see any Toph or any book 2 of Earthbending. But in honor of Aang, I did go check out The Last Airbender, and I'm saying it wasn't that bad. Whatever that means. I am the super producer, Big Vic, and you are the poor soul who wasted 10 minutes checking me out. I do hope you enjoyed it or got something fruitful out of it. Get at me at Vic at BigVicPresents.com. That's Vic with a K, and I'm out.